Be really tricky. We're actually working a lot on the shoulders and the hips today. And in fact, so those of you here, if you have, I know this is all black, but so, I need to get different colored blocks too because they all blend in. If you have a couple blocks, that would be great. One of the setups we're going to do today, so you don't need blocks, but we're going to do actually an external rotation for the shoulder where we'll go here. And ideally, I'd like to have your elbow and your hand elevated. So even if you don't have blocks, having something like that will help. So yeah, we're going to work a lot on rotation, especially for the shoulders and hips today, among some other things. And morning, Emily. Morning, Alex. And we'll start off, as we often do, with some breath work. So I'm actually going to have us start with a quadruped position. And we're going to focus on trying to breathe into our mid-back especially. So you're going to start by getting just a little tuck of the pelvis. So a little tuck there. Then I'm going to have you come down to your forearms, keeping a tuck. You're going to walk your elbows back and sit your butt back a little bit, like so. If you're able to, we're going to put our forearms together. Okay. I see Monty. Now from this position, I want you to protract your shoulders. So you're going to drive through the floor and press your back away from the floor. Oh, there we go. All right. So from here, we're pressing away from the floor. You're holding that position. All right, and now what I want you to do is just take a nice, easy inhale. Nice, easy exhale. Protracting those shoulders. You can sit the hips back more if you'd like to, if it's comfortable. Keeping that tuck of the pelvis. On your next inhale, whenever it is, I want you to try to breathe into your back. Really feel your back expanding and rising up. There we go. On your exhale, you're going to press further away from the floor. So press through your forearms, press away from the floor as you fully exhale. On your inhale, keep that press. Try to expand further, breathing way up into your back. Maintaining that expansion. Exhale. Breathing all of the air out. All the air out. You might feel those abs kick on. And then you're going to inhale into your back. And we'll continue for a few more breaths here. And I just want you to focus on keeping your neck relaxed. Keep that expansion. So with each inhale, you're breathing into your back. Each exhale, you're pushing through your forearms and pressing your spine and ribs away from the floor. So we're trying to, with each inhale, get a little bit more expansion. A little bit more expansion. Think about breathing up into your back. Wherever you happen to be right now, let's go for one more breath, one more inhale and exhale. Maintaining relatively relaxed neck, tuck of that pelvis. All right, and once you've got that, then you can relax for a moment. So this is a nice way to help feel some of that expansion. A good way to stretch the back. A lot of people get some upper back tension quite a lot, and it can be really tricky. So I really like that. It's also going to help you breathe and actually reposition the rib cage and pelvis a little bit. So now we're going to stand up. We're going to stand up, and we're going to work the pelvis a bit. Also, I didn't mention specifically last week, but I discovered... Oh no, actually I haven't seen you all since. let's get moving, and then I'll talk you through it. Very exciting stuff. So let's keep your feet planted and just kind of a soft bend in your knees, and we are going to essentially make a circle with your pelvis. So you're going to just push to the left. Then you're going to kind of push it forward, and then to the right, and then back. And we'll keep going the same direction here. So soft bend in the knees. It's like you're doing an exaggerated slow motion hula hooping. And just explore where you feel a stretch. And I'll tell you, so the exciting stuff, maybe some of you have noticed, I figured out that there's an HD option for Zoom. It only took a full year. So hopefully some of you can see me a little bit more clearly now. There we go. I don't know if that's better or worse, but you know, it is what it is. Wherever you are here in your hula hooping, let's switch directions. So we'll go other direction and just observe where you feel tension, what feels good. Okay. Again, I don't want you pushing, as with everything, I don't want you pushing through any pain. But just note where you might feel tension. Typically the sides people feel a lot, but then maybe you feel it in the hamstrings as you kick back. Maybe you feel it in the front of the hip as you push forward. We'll go one more. For those who didn't hear initially, we are working a lot of hips and shoulders, a lot of rotation today. Okay, now we're going to do the neck. So we'll work up. I do want to get some other stuff moving, pelvis, neck. So shoulders stay low. We're going to do a neck car going to the right first. So tuck your chin, round down. We're going to slowly bring that chin over, cross that right collarbone, tip your right ear towards the right shoulder, look back and up, tip to the left, rotate that chin over to the left, and we'll round down. Slowly look up just to kind of level, and then we'll do the same thing but going to the left. So tuck your chin, slowly round down. Be mindful of what's going on at your spine. Drag that chin across to the left. Tip the left ear towards your left shoulder, looking back and up. Tip to the right, rotate right, and down. Okay, now what I want you to do is we're going to take another minute and just take your time, go through another rep here. So on your own, at your own pace, same thing, starting with that tuck. Okay, nice big slow circle. Looking good. Pelvis is staying neutral. Shoulders stay nice and relaxed. Once you get down to the center, then you can slowly move back the other way. I'm very impressed. These are some wonderful looking neck cars. I was getting ready to call people out on their shoulders, but this looks good. We'll go about 10 more seconds here, so wherever you are, finish up the rep you're on. All right. And then we're going to work the hips a little bit more before we come down and really work on them. So we're going to warm them up. So what I'm going to have us do is shift. You're going to shift your weight a little bit to your right side. Okay? You're going to pull your toes up. Actually, I don't think all of you can see there. On this side, like so. And you can hold on to something if you'd like. So 2/3 of your weight is here. And then we're going to do some hip rotations. So you're going to rotate that left hip internally and externally. Okay, and you can put as much weight as you'd like on this right side. It might fatigue a little bit. I just want to make sure there's enough weight off your left that you're able to rotate it comfortably. Okay, and you can feel free certainly to hold on to something. We'll get a couple more here, so I'll show you from this angle. I'm going to focus on that hip joint turning in its socket there. We'll get a couple more, nice and slow. And yeah, we can develop a little fatigue in that right leg, which is fun. Okay, you can come up, shake it out a moment. Okay, and we'll do the same thing to the other side. So, just sink a little bit of weight into that left hip. You're on the heel of the right leg. And we're going to rotate internally, rotate externally. There we are. Looking good. Alex, smart. Adding a little extra weight, a little extra resistance. Pets can be very good for that. We'll get a couple more here, rotating as much as you can comfortably, as much as you can out. Good, and then you can relax there. Okay, now we're going to come down to the floor, and if you have a block, that would be great. We're going to use that. So, one of the things that I find pretty important, I don't talk about maybe as much in class, but it can be helpful to establish a couple priorities for yourself and really stick with those, give them enough time to really see an adaptation and change. Because if you focus on every part of your body intensely, you probably don't have enough resources to really make that change. So what we're going to do today is hopefully help you establish some priorities, but also just give a lot of attention. So we're going to give a lot of attention to hip internal and external rotation and to shoulders. So a lot of you have done this before from the 90-90. We're going to do internal rotation. Now what I want you to do, if you have a block, actually pop it under the knee. I know this is dark. I need orange blocks. And from there, I'm going to have you lean to the right. Okay, so I want you in a position, in a place where you are able to lift that leg, lift that ankle, and in doing so, you're internally rotating this hip. Yeah. Now, our tendency is to kind of arch the low back, let that pelvis dump forward. So I want you to make sure nothing's changing there. Lean to the side and forward as much as you need to get a decent lift off. I want you to be able to lift maybe 6 inches or so. And from here, I just want you to now, once you get that spot, we're not going to let anything change. Okay? And let me give you a little different angle here. From here, we're going to do a bunch of lifts. Okay, some of you already are, so relax for a moment. What I'm going to have you start off with is drive the knee down. So you're squeezing down into the block or into the floor if you don't have a block. Driving down, I want you to feel some of those inner thigh muscles working a little bit. You can drive down, you can even almost try to pull your knee towards your midline. It's not actually going to move. So you're trying to contract inner thigh groin muscles. Maintaining that contraction, now I want you to rotate and try to lift your ankle. And then bring it back down. Good. We're going to drive in, lift the ankle, back down. Nice. Now we're going to add a press in with the foot as well. So we're going to take about a minute here. You're going to drive in with the knee, and that's holding stable. Now take a couple seconds, drive down through that left ankle into the floor, and lift. Okay, and we're just going to repeat. So about 2 or 3 seconds down into the floor. Lift 2 or 3 seconds up into your maximal internal rotation. And we're going back and forth, pressing down, lifting up. So no one rep, hopefully, is that nasty, but we are accumulating reps. We're accumulating time under tension. And we're just going to keep going. Be mindful that your pelvis isn't moving as you're rotating. Okay, one thing I've done here is I can get my elbow like right at my hip bone, so I know it's not moving. You'll feel your muscles working, but just that femur we want turning. Go one more rep here, and then you can relax. You can ease out of that, shake out the legs for a moment. So by getting that knee squeezing down, the adductor working a little bit, we're probably not going to be working the TFL, this lateral muscle that tends to cramp up. We're not working that quite as intensely. We're getting a little bit more of the glute working. So that's part of the reason we're doing it. Now we'll switch sides. Okay, so same deal. You're going to pop a block or something under your knee, as long as that is comfortable. And because of this pushing you into more abduction, you might just need to lean off again to the side, and that is fine. So first step, we're leaning off to the side. You can lean forward if you need to, finding a position at which you can achieve this internal rotation of the right hip. Okay, so this right thigh is rotating internally. There we go. We're just getting a couple there. Nothing's changing at the pelvis. Okay, pelvis is staying still, femur is rotating. Now I want you to get that feel of that right knee driving down. So you're almost thinking about the knee driving down and in to the floor. Okay? Hold that effort as you internally rotate your hip, lifting the ankle. Good. Now we're going to repeat and we're going to cycle through. So drive the ankle down for a couple seconds and lift up. Okay, and we'll repeat. Driving down, lift up. You don't have to follow along with my tempo here, but think about 2 to 3 seconds each. And each rep, can you get just a little bit more of that rotation? Keeping that knee driving down and in. I want to keep that inner thigh working the whole time. Nice. We'll do a few more here and observe how this feels compared to your other hip. So that's also good information. Where do you feel it? And how far does it go? We'll go one more rep. Okay, and then you can relax there. Excellent. So that's a good way to get a lot of stimulus here for that internal hip rotation. So now we're going to go into some cars to help reinforce that, but we're going to focus more on the internal rotation. So partial hip cars, we're going prone position with our left leg out like so. I want you to focus on trying to tuck your pelvis. All right, and what I'm going to do is I'm going to bring my left arm out to the side a little bit for leverage, because what I'm going to try is to first pry my knee away from the floor, and it probably won't get very far. Then I'm going to internally rotate my hip, reach back into extension, and bring my knee next to my other knee and set it down. Okay, so because that floor is right here, this is not going to be easy. Then I'm going to drive my heel towards the sky, pry my knee out, pull it up as high as I can go, and set it down. Okay, so I'm going to try to pry my knee off, lift the ankle to internally rotate, reach the heel up and back, knee comes down close to the other one. Because we don't get much hip extension, this is going to be like scraping against the floor probably the whole time. Drive the heel back towards the ceiling, pry the knee out, keeping that ankle as high as you can for as long as you can, then set it down. Okay? Now if you notice, we're going to do a couple more, I have my chest turned a little bit to the left. That's going to make it probably a little bit easier here. Okay, if you turn away, that's going to make it a little tougher. I'm driving down hard through my hands. So, prying open, ankle kicks back. Try to keep that pelvis tucked as best you can. Even if you're not even getting off the floor, but you're just kind of dragging along, that's totally fine because you're still working. Heel goes back, hugging tight to the floor. Pry the knee up and down. All right, and we're going to go for one more rep. So wherever you are, one more rep. You're prying off, internally rotate. I really want that focus to be on that internal rotation, which is why we're working this part of the hip car. Good. Try to keep a tuck in that pelvis. We're driving back. Pry that knee up, keeping the ankle high as long as you can. And then you can relax. Okay. Take a little breather there. So that works a pretty challenging part of the hip car there. That internal rotation and extension. There's probably going to be some compensation through the back, and I'm okay with that because it's not going to be extreme. I know it's safe. So let's go ahead and we'll switch to the other leg. So we're here, the right leg's out. Okay, you can turn your chest and arm a little bit to that right side. Try to tuck that pelvis. Okay, and what I didn't mention on the other side, you can also drive your opposite foot down for a little extra leverage. So we're going to try to pry that knee off the floor and lift the ankle. Reach back and up. Reach that knee towards the other knee and set it down. Good. Then you're going to pry or reach the heel up. Then pry the knee open, trying to keep the ankle away from the floor as long as you can as you pull that knee up and set it down. Excellent. We're going to go for 3 more. All right, I'll keep talking you through it, but you can go at your own pace here. Pry up, internally rotate. Then you're reaching the heel back and up. Do your best to try to keep a little tuck in that pelvis. Feel that glute as you drive the heel towards the ceiling. Pry that knee back up towards your arm, keeping the ankle high. All right, what's that? Did someone want to do this the whole class? No? Okay. Not a good joke. I get it. Pry open. So again, I want you to focus that internal rotation. When you lift that knee up, then you're just maxing out internal rotation of that hip, trying to maintain it as long as you can. Whew. All right, once you get 4 reps total, then you can relax. There we go. So cars are always a nice way to reinforce some of the other work we're doing, and you can do them like this, partial cars, where we're especially reinforcing the range that we were working on. So now, cars get a little bit of a break, and we're going to work the shoulders. Okay, so this hip and shoulder internal rotation is the most essential movement and most important for that joint health. So that's what we're starting with. For the shoulders, internal rotation is here. We're going to do similar things with liftoffs, but I'm going to have it positioned a little different. And Emily, this will look familiar. Okay, so what I'm going to have us do, I'll show you from this angle, is you're going to be in a quadruped position on the forearm. We'll go left arm first, so I'll show you first. You don't need to do it yet. We're going to internally rotate, okay, as far as you can. Then you're going to back off a little bit and pull away from your hand. So, from this angle, I wanted to show you both angles. This is internal rotation, so your shoulder's moving internally. If I go into my max range, I won't be able to move my shoulder. So I'm going to pull away a little bit. Then, like we did with the hip, I'm going to use these tissues, to pull away from my hand, return. pull away, return. Okay, does that make sense to everybody? Hopefully that makes sense. Essentially, we want to go almost at our end range and then pull away. We're not working against gravity, but it's a little different. So left arm is down. You can even protract a little bit, kind of like we did in the beginning, pressing away from the floor. Internally rotate that shoulder as much as you can, wherever it'll go. Okay, then from that position, back off maybe 15 to 20 degrees. So we want to get to a point where you can pull away from your right arm, but it's work. Okay, that's where we want to be. And from this position, nothing changes, and I just want you to do a couple nice, easy, like 1 or 2 seconds, pull away and hold, and return. Pull away and hold, and return. If you're not feeling a whole lot, then push yourself into a little bit more range of motion. Okay, even if you only get a 1/4 inch of clearance, that's fine. Then we'll do a couple more. Pull away, hold a little longer, and return. Pull away and hold, and I want you to really feel that internal rotation at your upper arm. And you can relax there. So now, just like we did with the hip, I'm going to have you gently, initially, press your hand up into the right arm. So you're going to press in for a few seconds, then pull away. Okay, press in, pull away. And we'll repeat. Press in. If it feels good, you can press harder. Pull away. So we'll take a minute. We'll go about 2 or 3 seconds press, 2 or 3 seconds pulling away. And as we do this, I want you to focus on that pulling away coming from the shoulder and not the wrist. Okay, so our tendency is going to want to be to just pull that wrist, turn the wrist away. Make that pull come from the shoulder. I want shoulder rotation. Pressing into the right arm, pulling away with that left shoulder. Wherever you are, let's get 2 more. We want that shoulder rotating. And then you can relax there for a moment. All right. Very nice. So what I'm going to have us do before we do the other shoulder is we can go supine position, like so. All right, and we're going to work the ankles. So we'll give the arms and the knees a little bit of a break. I'm just going to have you, I like this one, just nice and gentle. You're going to hang on to your shins, and we're going to do double ankle cars. So whichever direction you would like to go, we're going to slowly move those ankles, not letting the shins move. Here we go. So I like this, whether it's in your personal practice or classes or whatever. There's no need to make things more aversive than they need to be. So if you've been in one position for quite a while, it's often nice to switch that up. Speaking of, let's switch directions. So switch directions of your ankle cars. There we are. Nice. We'll get a couple more here, nice and controlled, not letting those shins move. Okay. Take a moment, take a nice comfortable breath, and then we get to do the other shoulder. All right, so this is a good opportunity to see again, how does one shoulder compare to the other? So for example, like Chris, you mentioned your left shoulder. I wouldn't be surprised if the left shoulder, if the shoulder that gives us trouble, has less internal rotation or less control. So we get to do the other side. All right, same process. Boom, you're down on your forearm. You're pressing away, protracting, and then we're internally rotating, okay? And that's coming from this upper arm. So internally rotate as much as you can. All right, make sure that feels okay, and then back it off a little bit. And when you back it off there, then we're going to do rotations away from your left hand. So find that nice position, get a couple lift-offs. Find that position at which you can lift a little bit, but it's not easy. Okay, you got to work for it. Good. Now, not letting anything change, not letting your torso change. We're going to do a lift for a few seconds, so lift off and hold. And return. Lift off and hold. And return. Then we're going to take a minute here. We're going to do the pressing into the left hand and pulling away. So 2 to 3 seconds pressing in. 2 to 3 seconds pulling away. Good, and just repeat. Pressing in, pulling away. Looking good. And just keep in mind, we don't want the torso moving. We don't want anything else moving, just that upper arm. You're pressing into the left, pulling away. Pressing in, rotating that upper arm to pull away. And wherever you are here, let's go for 2 more reps. Try to get just a hair more range of motion with each one. All right, and then we can relax. So that's a nice way to work on that shoulder internal rotation. Now we're going to do some shoulder cars, focusing particularly on that internal rotation. So you can do this kneeling or standing. I'm going to go kneeling, but you can feel free to stand up if you'd like to. So for the shoulders, we are going to do our normal shoulder car, but we're going to go basically 2 times through. So we're going to do 2 full shoulder cars, and we're going to focus especially on this transition here in that internal rotation. So left arm first. We're coming across, reaching up into that flexion as far as you can. And here, feel it come from here. Internally rotate that shoulder. Internally rotate as you reach. Get as much as you can from here. Now come back. We're going to externally rotate. Good. Now internally rotate again. And fight for more internal. We're going all the way through now. So extend back behind you. More internal, more internal, more internal. Come down to your side. Then we're going back. Hold internal as long as you can. Then the external is coming. And we're coming up. Cutting across. All right. And we'll do that one more time for the left. So, same thing, across, not pushing through any pain. So as high as you can go without pain. Internally rotate. Start that internal. Get to about here, as much internal as you can. Slowly bring it back. Nice. Go back behind, fight for more internal. Reach back behind, you get extra. Keep focusing on more and more and more as you go. Hold that. Then we're going to start to get external as you run out of room there. Up. Pull across. Okay, and I can get some good fatigue going. So, very nice. Take a moment. We'll do the other shoulder. Okay, same process here. Good opportunity again to observe what's going on, where the differences are. As you notice, I like to kind of monitor my rib cage just to make sure I'm not flaring up like this. So we'll come across, reach up really high. Once you max out that flexion, internally rotate, coming from the biceps, coming from the shoulder. Come down to about here and come back. Let's go back through that tough range, rotating up overhead. Then we'll transition back into internal again and fight for more internal, more as we go. Try to hold that. Good, and then external as we start to run out of room. So as you meet resistance, we're going to push into that external. Beautiful. And then we get to do another one. So here we go. Think about here on this rep, keep your neck relaxed. Reach way up, internally rotate, start reaching back, pause, bring it back, externally rotate, up overhead, then reach back again, neck relaxed, ribs down. We're internally rotating as much as we can. Hold internal as we return, then we're externally rotating to come back, reaching up, more rotation, down and across. Beautiful. Okay, fantastic. Now we get to do a little bit of spine work. So what I'm going to have us do is actually stand up for this one. We'll give the ankles, knees, and all that a little bit of a breather. Okay, so for the spine here, what I'm going to have you do is cross your hands over your shoulders, get a little bend in the knees, tuck the pelvis, and we're going to start from the pelvis. So a little bend in the knees, tuck the pelvis, round the low back, the mid back, the upper back, and you can tuck that chin if you'd like to. Holding this, we're starting with the pelvis again. Untuck, droop through the low back, the mid back, the upper back, and if you'd like, you can look up with your chin. One more time with the pelvis leading, tuck, work through that low, mid, upper back in a pain-free way. Untuck, droop, spreading up the spine, feeling a nice stretch on the front side. Looking up with your chin, and then we're going to do 2 reps leading from the head. So tuck your chin, start rounding your upper back, mid back, low back, and really tuck that pelvis. Now from here, maintain that rounding as you look up with your head. Droop through your upper back, mid back, low back. Untuck, you can kind of dump that pelvis. Okay, one more time. Tucking your chin, round the upper back, feel each vertebrae moving. Mid back, spread down to the low back, tuck the pelvis, feel those abs on. Maintain that contraction as you look up with the head and slowly work your way down the spine, feeling the back side of the back contracting. Untucking the pelvis at the end. Alrighty. Nicely done. Nicely done. Hope everyone's doing all right. So, good news is we're going to go back to the hips. So now, we worked internal, we're going to work external rotation of the hips. So we're going left hip, and we're going to do external rotation liftoff. So you can go into a 90-90 position if you'd like to. I do want the left hip at about a 90-degree angle. The right leg, though, I'm not as worried about. I just want you in a comfortable position. So you can come down to your forearm if you'd like. If you want to kick this leg out, you can. If you want to put something under your knee, whatever is comfortable for you and will allow you some leverage. Okay? So sometimes driving this knee down can help. But what we want to do is externally rotate our bottom hip by lifting the ankle. Okay, now I'm here. I do want to try to make sure that I'm not too drooped down here. So I'm here. I want this pelvis to stay still when I go to externally rotate. In order to lift this off, you might need to lean further away. Okay, you absolutely can do this like this. But I want you in a position where it does take some effort to lift off. So wherever we need to be, we're going to do a similar process as we did with internal rotation. So first step, I just want you to get in touch with these tissues. See if you can feel some of these inner thigh muscles, some of the groin muscles, pulling that hip. All right. And now I'm going to have you do one rep where we hold a little bit longer because I think that's going to help you feel this. A lot of times people have a tough time feeling this. So slowly lift up, get to wherever you can, okay, and hold a few more seconds. Feel things kicking on. The longer you hold, the more you'll feel. Then we can relax. Okay, so that was fun. So now what we're going to do is the same idea. We're going to do several lifts in a row, then we're going to start adding the driving down with the pulling up. So first, let's go for 3 lifts. Okay, you're going to lift up, hold, and back down. Lift up, hold, and back down. One more, lift, and back down. Okay, so you also have some idea of what your external rotation is here actively. That's good. Now we're going to do 2 to 3 seconds driving down. So imagine you're trying to internally rotate into the floor. So drive that ankle down and lift. Beautiful. And we're just going to repeat. Drive down and lift. As you drive down, putting your right hand on top of your knee might help you get some leverage to do so. Lift. And then I also like having a hand on the thigh to monitor those muscles and encourage them to fire up and contract. Nice. So we're going to develop some fatigue here. This is good. We want a potent enough stimulus here to really create some change. There we go. So it's like if you're bench pressing, you do 12 reps, whatever. Try to do more the next time. It's not all about reps. It's also about time under tension. Let's go one more wherever you are. Last rep. And you can relax. Alrighty. Excellent work. So we can switch it up. You can take a moment if you need to. All right. And I was talking earlier about prioritizing, and when we're prioritizing, it is helpful to focus on 1 or 2 specific things. Generally, the biggest bang for your buck stuff is hip and shoulder rotation, because that affects so many other things. Alrighty. So, first step, we're finding a good position here where we can get a lift off. Okay, but it's not super easy. So find that position. Pelvis isn't going to move. We want to start to get in touch with those inner thigh and groin muscles. All right. Then we're going to do one longer hold. So you're going to slowly lift, hold, really try to feel this stuff contracting. Nice. 3, 2, 1, relax. Good. Okay, then we're going to do 3 lifts without the press, just to continue to build this connection. So you're going to lift and down. Rotate that hip to lift and down. Focus that energy on the hip and not the ankle. Lift and down. Alrighty, now we're going to take a minute. We're going to do that same thing, driving ankle down, lifting up for 2 to 3 seconds. Driving down, lifting up. Good, and you'll just repeat. You'll just repeat. Try to drive down with a little bit more force and lift up just a little bit higher with each successive rep. Take your time. Observe what you're feeling at the hip. Really imagine what's going on deep in that hip. It's rotating. There we go. We'll get a few more here. As you go, continue observing. How is this different from the other side? What feels different? How's the movement? Last one here. All right, and then we can relax. Nicely done. Okay. So, we got our hips going. Now, I want to make sure we get in these shoulders. So, for the shoulders, for the external rotation, I'm going to, ideally, I'd like you to have your elbow elevated and your hand elevated. And what we're going to do is externally rotate. So you can see my upper arm is rotating. Okay, and think about, so briefly I just noticed Alex, like the tendency is to go here with the wrist. There's nothing wrong with that, but I just want you to make sure the main movement and effort is coming from that shoulder. So first step is just finding a comfortable position. If you do not have a block, it's totally fine to have your arm down like this. Okay, but if you can, I'd love it if you can have that elevated. Elbow is right out to the side, so 90-degree angle of the elbow. Okay, and then we're just going to do a few lifts up and down. If it's really easy for you to lift off, you could come a little higher up, like so. But again, I do want to make sure that that movement is coming from the shoulder, and you can feel it. Okay, you can feel a contraction here. All right. If that feels good, you're doing something wrong. No, just kidding, you're not. I do want you to amplify this a little bit. So now, gently initially drive down through the hand into the block or into the floor, and then pull away. Drive down, pull away. Okay, now gradually lengthen that. We're going to do a handful of reps here. Drive down for a little bit longer. Pull away, hold a little longer. And as you're doing this, monitor your pelvic position. Are you tucked? Tuck that pelvis. We're going to do just a couple more reps. Driving down, pulling away. Focus on that shoulder. Try to keep everything else just chilling out. Everything else is just hanging out. That shoulder's working. You can relax. Okay. Nice. So external rotation, very important. Just like internal. Internal is a little more important generally, but we do want to check out where we are here. So if you're kind of at a horizontal position and you're not able to lift off, I would say this is definitely a priority. Something good to work on. So we'll switch sides. Get yourself set there. Okay, and as we did with the shoulder, or the hips rather, with our prone stuff, if you're turned toward your shoulder, that'll probably be a little easier. If your pec and front side tend to be really tight, and you're either neutral or turned away, that's going to probably make this rotation harder. So if it's really tough, you can turn toward your shoulder or drop your elbow. So here we go. We're practicing some lift-offs, just nice and easy. Gauge where you're able to get. I ideally want the lift-off to be a little bit of challenge here. But I also want you to feel those tissues in the shoulder working. If you're not really feeling the shoulder, or it feels uncomfortable, then lower that hand. All right, now we're going to drive down through the hand, pull away. Drive down through the hand, pull away. And we're gradually lengthening that effort, driving down, pulling away. Push a little bit harder and a little bit longer. Pull away for a little bit longer. Nice. Let's get a couple more here. Okay, what's neat too about the isometric and pressing down longer and harder, it gives you more information about how much strength and control you have in this position. And you can compare that between shoulders. Last one here. And then you can relax briefly. Okay, now we're going to do a couple more things here. So we're going to stand up. All right, yeah, we got some time. We got enough time. Okay, so we're going to work some squats. Okay, a lot of times people end up with pinching in their squats or it doesn't feel super comfortable. Addressing hip rotation can improve that. So I'm going to have you squat down. And from the squat position, we're going to do a quick little shoulder flexion movement and then come back up. So down to your comfort level, you're going to squat, and then we're going to pick the arms up, hold, and then come up. Okay, so squat down. A challenging squat for you, but not painful. Arms, reach way up as high as you can overhead. Feel a stretch. Feel the core and the back kick on. Hold. Slowly come back up. All right, arms are at your sides then. Pull yourself down into a nice deep squat. Whatever that means for you. And we're coming, reaching up and back. Hold. This is fun. Slowly come up. Okay, now I'm not worried about how high your arms come up. I do just want it coming from your shoulders. So elbows stay locked out. Squat down one more time. Elbows stay straight. Use those shoulders to pull your arms up. Hold. Slowly come up. Excellent. Now, we're going to do a squat with hip rotations. Okay, so you're going to squat down as low as you are comfortable with. You're going to come up on the toes of your right leg. Swivel, internal, external. You can use a little assistance if you need to for the squat. Okay, and think about, boom, pelvis up, nothing's changing. You're swiveling, pivoting off the ball of that right foot, internally and externally, as much as you can. 30 more, okay. Let's go one more, wherever you are, one more. And then come back up. So I'm not worried about if it's not super comfortable. I'm not worried about you getting super low. But if you're comfortable with it, it is nice to try this actually at different angles. Take a breath. Then we get to do the other hip. So you're going to squat down. I love these. You're going to go up to the ball of the foot. Nothing changes here. Rotate. Rotate. It's a little different because we're in a squat, but hopefully this movement is feeling familiar. Okay, I suspect you're probably better able to do this now than you would have in the very beginning. Swiveling in and out. Good, wherever you are, let's go for one more. And then you can come up. Beautiful. All right, take a moment. We're going to do one more thing here for the shoulders. All right, so we're actually going to come down. Final thing. So shoulder flexion, that's a limitation that a lot of people have. Addressing rotation is a really good way to help increase capacity for that. So we're going to work a little flexion real quick with some shoulder blade work. So hopefully you can slide your hand a little bit If not, just don't push down too hard. But what I'm going to have you do is reach your left arm out. Okay, nothing else changes. Press down a little bit through that left arm. And we're only doing shoulder blade from here. So from this, you are pulling your shoulder blade back and then pressing as far away from your body as you can with your shoulder blade. Good. Pull back. So see how my shoulder blade is gliding down my rib cage. Elbow is staying straight. Press away as far as you can. All right, and the way I find that this is most effective is as I'm pulling back with my left hand, I'm pressing down and forward with my right to get a little leverage there. As I'm reaching away with the left, I'm pulling down and in with my right. Reach as far as you can. Get a really nice stretch in the shoulder and shoulder blade. Let's go one more each way. Pulling in. Torso's not changing, all shoulder blade. Reaching away. Awesome. Now, final thing, we'll do the same thing on the other side. Okay, and yeah, I know I'm tricking you into like an isometric hold with your arms. It's great. All right, so now, with your right arm, pulling down and in with the left as you reach away, pull the shoulder blade back towards your hips. Slide, reach away as far as you can go. See if you can get a little bit of extra range each way. And you can really take your time with this. If you really go in slow motion, you might be surprised at how much range you can get and some of the activation you get. All right, wherever you are here, I'm going to go nice and easy one more time each way. Observe what you're feeling. Good, and if you have a limitation in this flexion, in reaching overhead, again, that rotation is a really good place to start with it. All right, everybody. Nice work today. Hope you're all feeling good. I would encourage you to take a few nice calming breaths. The simplest thing you can do is just lengthen your exhales. Even just spending a couple minutes on that after class, before and after meetings, etc. Very good way to boost your health. So, any thoughts or questions or feedback?
No, thank you, Brian.
You're welcome, Nancy. Glad you can make it.
Good to see everybody. See you soon.
You're welcome, Lisa.
Thank you, Brian.
You're welcome, Walter.